Until we have a Congress that's in line with the majority of Americans, there are actions within my legal authority that we can take to help reduce gun violence and save more lives. Actions that protect our rights and our kids.
President Obama is doing all he can to convince the American people that his actions on gun control are not only right, but are imperative. And without them, more innocent people will die. This despite the fact that his recent executive action would have done little or nothing to stop mass shootings in places like Newtown. So now that the president has convinced a major cable news network to give him his own town hall to make his case and seek to clear up some of what some people believe are mistakes, we are as a nation still left with a simple task: separating the fact from fiction in this debate and seeking to tell only the truth about what it all means, hoping the truth will not be as subjective as some may desire. Let's welcome in professor at George Mason University Law School, author of The Once and Future King, The Rise of Crown Government in America, Frank Buckley. Frank, it's a pleasure to talk to you again, and we have so many things to go over, but let's try and get to a couple of simple things here first of all. When we consistently hear about gun laws in the country, there are those who claim there is a gun show loophole that we hear over and over again. Is it not fair to say that if there is a loophole, it's a pinhole in many ways, but it is not nearly as large as some people would claim?
Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think this is mostly a cosmetic announcement from the president, and it's designed, I think, more than anything to draw attention away from the real problem, which is terrorists in the community. I mean, the change in the law would not do a thing to help that particular problem, but politically it's great for the president.
Now, but let me get right to that. And you're right, I want to talk about crime here in just a moment. But if you look at this gun show loophole, which is the thing we hear constantly over and over again, most gun show vendors, up to 75%, are licensed dealers. If you're a licensed firearms dealer, you're allowed to sell at gun shows in your own state. Same rules apply. You got to get the background checks. Isn't the key there, though, Frank, that word licensed?
Well, yeah, and you know what worries me about all of this is the uncertainty, the vagueness of it all. I mean, before this, the rule was, well, if you're carrying on business selling guns, okay, get registered. But now it seems to be a lot more vague, and just an ordinary fellow selling a couple of guns he's accumulated might conceivably be caught by the law, and of course he won't have thought to register. And what that means is that he's fair game for an ambitious prosecutor, and you know, discretion here is the enemy of freedom, right? I mean, when you have clear rules, then you don't worry about them being abused. But when you've got, you know, prosecutors with an agenda, then anybody is open to be prosecuted for this sort of thing.
Frank, let me ask this:
somebody innocent.
In your opinion, if the president or any president wanted to do something of substance when it comes to gun control, and let's put on our hat and guess whatever it might be, what would be the one thing that a president would do if he or she really meant to help the effort and protect the Second Amendment at the same time?
Well, I think you're kind of hamstrung because this is a matter for congressional action. It should be. There may be, you know, for people who know more about guns than I do, there may be small things you can do with respect to the kind of guns you have, or automatic locks, or, you know, kind of fingerprints on the gun. But I think what we've seen is an example of a president who has decided to rule without speaking to Congress or ignoring Congress, and trying to triumph over Congress in a way, and that's just not the Constitution a lot of people thought that they had.
Which already answers the question in many ways. It's that a president shouldn't be the one doing it. This is something that still lawmakers and Congress are involved in, which leads us to another story that would take us months to talk about. I only got a minute left here. You mentioned terrorism earlier. I want to talk about crime. The same day that the president called for action to end gun violence, 12 people were shot in his native city of Chicago. Frank, aren't we missing the boat here? You've got to go after crime. You've got to be tougher on crime. You've got to go after these people, mostly using illegal weapons in many cases. This is the problem that goes unlooked at and unsolved, if you will.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a case where, to coin a phrase, black lives do matter, only those lives are being ignored.
Why are they? But that's the good point, Frank. We only got a few seconds here, but why are they being so ignored? Why doesn't somebody go after crime? Is it another hamstring issue here?
Well, politically, I guess it's the case that people are worried about going after criminals. And I find that extraordinary, unbelievable, inexplainable. And I guess it's a case of politics and cosmetics ruling what are the real issues.
We don't want to downgrade anything, we don't want to denigrate anything, but in the same breath, more guns, increased violent crime is absolutely false. Violent crime has decreased by 50% in this country, and people need to learn the facts. We need to start going after the criminals and take the gloves off there. Another conversation for another day, unfortunately, that, Frank, as you well know, this could take a long time to get into. Frank Buckley, I want to thank you so much for joining us. I look forward to the next time we talk, and we can then get some answers. Stay with us, everybody. The Hardline continues.